Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good day and welcome to the show. Today is Tuesday, the 26th of May, 2020. Listen, this system that we have running right now, this was a huge shock that happened to the system now. But it's exposed the vulnerabilities of the type of system that they were trying to run, which is basically a PONZI scheme type of a system. It's reached a point now where we're closing in on the finish of it. It's unsustainable. And I'll explain a few. I'll just go into a little bit of detail because I want to move into the markets very soon now and go through the market prices today. But we've got like 50 million people, give or take 10 million, that are out of work right now, and their jobs aren't coming back. Okay? And so this represents, and this is in the United States, but we have the same thing going on in all the other countries, including here in Canada. This is a worldwide phenomenon. Those people out there, they have to be fed, they have to feed their children, they have to have money. You can't survive in this system without money. So the government so far has been doling out some checks to them and stuff, But what do you think's going to happen when all that starts to run out? Those jobs aren't coming back, and the unemployment benefits start to run out, and everything just starts to stop, and they start to fall through the cracks, each and every one of them. They're going to mount up a force to resist against losing everything that they have. It's just obvious. I don't know exactly what form that'll take. Whether it'll be, I don't know what they'll do, but they're not going to starve. They're not just going to sit there and say, okay, we're 50 million of us here, and we're just going to let you starve us all to death. They're not going to do that. They're going to come up somehow. Somehow there's going to be a backlash of some sort or another. And, I don't know what form that backlash will take, but the government itself then at that point will respond. They have to respond, And their response is probably going to be a universal basic income. But in order to pay for all of these programs, what they're going to do is a few people that are working, that are left, that are out there working, are going to bear the shoulder of the responsibility of all these social programs and everything. So the working class people, blue-collar workers, white-collar workers, your taxes are going to explode through the roof, and the government's going to be so greedy for money to, on the other end, to just dole it out to all the people that aren't working, that what they're doing is they're creating a situation where you're better if you don't work. So what's going to happen is the workforce is going to continue to dwindle, and as this secondary class of people grows from 50 million to 100 million, as it's on its way up to 100 million, they become a more powerful voice. They become a more powerful lobby group. They become a more powerful, because they represent the majority of the population, the ones that are receiving the money, the receivers. Right now there's probably about 50 million of them. It'll grow to 100 million. It'll grow to 150 million. And in the end, the few people that are left working, their taxes will be so high, trying to support everybody else, that they're going to look at all these other people with envy, and they're going to say, hey, you know what, I'm joining you too. I'm quitting my job, and I'm joining you too. And then nobody works. Absolutely nobody. Well, then at that point, you can see where this is starting to get ridiculous, and you can see where this is starting to get unsustainable. Then at that point, when nobody's working, who's going to bring the food to you? Who's going to police the streets? Who's going to, if there's a fire, who's going to put it out? The firemen will be gone. Nothing will be working in the end. So that's why I say this whole thing is unsustainable, and we're moving in that direction toward the unsustainable part of the whole thing, where the government is just churning the money out, pumping it in checks to everyone out there, and nobody has to work anymore. This doesn't work that way. A system doesn't work that way, and because it doesn't function, This is unsustainable. That's the direction we're going in. We're going in that direction at 900 miles an hour right now. And this virus has been pushing us in that direction toward unsustainability. And so I don't know how this whole thing's going to crack up, but I know it's going to crack. It's going to crack, and it's going to be frightful in the method that it cracks in. And so I'm watching it carefully for you guys, but I can't believe what I'm seeing. It's almost unbelievable, and it's scary. And it all started when the government overreacted to everything that was going on. And I mean, this whole thing, you know, it's come so fast. You know, and so there's a few people out there who seem like everything's just going on along the way it was always going along, and they're not worried about any of this. They should be worried. Because this is not how the world functions. And we're in this little bubble right now, you know, floating above it all, looking down, and it hasn't happened yet, but the system can't function this way. The bubble's going to pop. I'll tell you, honest to gosh, you know, it would be almost like, you know, somebody went and tried to go to Mars and establish a colony on Mars, and he got stranded there or something, you know, and he's still inside his Martian, say he's got some sort of a big ship or whatever, you know, and he's still got enough food to go, and nothing's happened yet really bad to him, you know, but he's stuck there. His engines are dead. And outside the spaceship is this toxic, is a toxic environment full of high radiation and from the no atmosphere or very little atmosphere and everything else, you know. So he has to wear a pressurized suit and everything. And he's stuck there forever. Oh, yeah, he's fine right now because he's still got some food and oxygen left and a few things in his ship and stuff. So he's fine right now. But what'll he be in 2 months or 3 months? When he starts to run out of oxygen, that's the way we are right now. We're all trapped in this, and we're fine right now. Right now it's okay. But what about in 2 or 3 months down the road? That's where I'm looking. I'm looking 2 or 3 months down the road, and where are we going to be? Oh, I mean, this is a horror show. That's what it is. And it's all been generated by these politicians who just make all the rules, and they don't even think twice about what the rules are going to do to us, the working man. They're sitting up there in their ivory tower, throwing all these rules out there, and then bingo bango, when that all starts crashing down, they'll run for cover. They'll be the first ones to run. It'll be just like you ever watch Seinfeld show, George Costanza? You know? He was the first one to run out of the burning building. Trampled over everybody else to get out of the burning building. That's what these guys are going to be like. They're going to be like the first. They'll be jumping over kids and grannies and pushing grannies over to get out of the burning building. That's what they'll be. But the fact is, this is not getting out of a burning building. This is a whole earth that's going to be on fire. Where are you going to go? Where's any of us going to go? This is a worldwide problem. And I don't know exactly what the solution is, but I'm going to say it one last time before I go in to the markets, and we take a look at the markets today. This is unsustainable. Okay, let's get the market started. Let's open up the charts right here and take a look. Silver price today. It's up 3 cents. $17.15 today for silver. Let's do gold. Gold today, $17.13. Now you see something? You see how close it is to 100 to 1? The price of gold $17.13 and the price of silver is $17.14. It's almost directly on 100 to 1. That's unsustainable. There's never been a time in history when 100 to 1 gold ratio has worked for very long. It always has to go back to a normal ratio, which is probably going to be about 40 to 1 or something like that. You know? But you know what that means? That means that you've doubled your your investment in silver, you've actually, if you invest, in other words, if you buy gold, you're only going to make half as much as you're going to make with silver. So that's what it means if the silver ratio goes back to, say, 40 to 1. Okay, let's take a look now at cryptocurrencies. $246 billion for the industry, 65.5% Bitcoin dominance. And because they've created this unsustainable system, that also their currencies are all linked to this unsustainable system. So that means their fiat currencies are all unsustainable. And there's going to be a mad rush out of the fiat currencies at a certain point in time in the not too distant future when the system starts to really collapse. And there's only 3 ways out: gold, silver, and crypto. And so crypto might do amazingly well, you know, but that's not saying gold and silver isn't going to do well too. Here's the stock market, and this is in a hyper bubble. 564 points up today, 25,030. It's in a hyper bubble. I've put out a stock market watch, that we're watching the stock market for a enormous fall that it could take. What could trigger it? At this point, anything could trigger it, because this thing has been pumped up to the moon. Any bad news could kind of trigger it, you know, at this point. Any bad news about the virus or some other geopolitical event could trigger it, okay, at this point. So that's why we're watching it. How high could it go? Well, you know, we're in a hyperbubble, and hyperbubbles tend to expand. So it could go a bit higher. It could go higher before we get this. But, you know, there's an old saying, what goes up has to come down. That's an old saying, and it actually proves very true, because it's a fundamental law of the universe. Okay, crude oil, 33.67 today, and it's up 42 cents on the day, or 1.26%. And U.S. Treasuries, and we're looking at yields rising today, and it's about 5 or 6 basis points when you get out to the 20-year and 10-year. Okay, we're looking at 0.69 on the U.S. 10-year, and we're looking at 0.142 on the U.S. 30-year. Now, we're going to take a look at the U.S. dollar index. 99.11 on the U.S. dollar index, and it's down 0.76. So the dollar's fallen a little bit today against the other basket of worthless fiat currencies. Rabobank. Public anger is as high in many other countries as it is in the United Kingdom. I would say that public anger around the world and resentment is at an all-time high. I don't think it's ever been this high. People are not contented right now. They know something's up. They know something's really bad going on, and they just can't put their finger on exactly what it is, but they're angry about it. They're upset about it, and they have a good right to be upset about what's going on in the world, you know, how the world is not the world it was 3 or 4 months ago. And whose fault is that, you know? Anyway, listen, thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe, and give me a thumbs up, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.